A Firbolg, a Satyr, and a Changeling are on a new continent, searching for an old hero. They've been cursed, stabbed, and emotionally traumatized. They've only just begun. Will they reach Northveil and uncover the secrets of the Raven Queen? Will they find Drix and unravel the mystery of the Gaia?
Will Vigo ever stop holding back contextually important information from his companions?
Not bloody likely. While part of this tale is written in the books, the ink is still wet upon the quill. Join us as we further explore the realm of Ascensia.
The following live stream may include adult language and themes. How could we know for sure? Hasn't happened yet. Anyway, viewer discretion is advised.
Hey everybody, welcome to this we're gonna mark the occasion.
Take two.
I'm just going keep going. I don't do multiple takes. What are you talking about?
It's in his contract.
Y'all can't afford to have me do multiple takes, all right? The four of us have collectively decided, looking back on this last half of a year now, since we started Brimstone, that one of the main reasons that we really wanted to, other than trying new games and meeting new people and telling more stories, was that we really wanted to keep playing this game.
Yeah.
And we have let Brimstone kind of find its legs a little bit. You know, we've got lots of games, lots of shows, lots of people playing. So we have decided that coming into the new year, once our mom to be is recovered, that we're going to start going live again with Ascensia. So yeah, James has worms.
Stop looking at us or put us on the other screen. Look at the camera.
Oh, my bad.
You're like this. You're like talking to us like this.
Well, Discord is being dumb, so sorry. Multiple monitors, and I forget myself. I'm also not looking at myself. All right, so anyway, I'm joined by three of my very favorite people to play with. Katie, who is blurring out of existence.
Sorry, I forgot my charger.
Oh, well, you should probably plug that in.
Yeah.
Probably plug that in. James, how you doing?
I'm here. I'm great.
You're good?
He's already plugged in. He came prepared.
He's good and
true.
great. Great.
Good.
I have no words today. Yay.
Oh, good. That's gonna be perfect.
That bodes well for a bard.
There's lots of NPCs that are planning on talking at you, so it'll be great.
Vigo has words.
James doesn't. Gotcha.
That's right.
And Margaret Alice, how are you doing, honey?
I'm better than I have been. Thanks for asking. How are
You're
you?
welcome. I'm tired, but I'm here and excited to get into this.
I would find a recap helpful. I have not looked at my notes today.
Oh well, you're not getting one. The main thing was that y'all were at the tavern, y'all met the Firbolg, y'all learned a little bit about the Rainberries. Odessa participated in the fight club. The two of you did a performance.
That was the most important part.
Lots of good vibes. You have all made a positive impression on at least this portion of the townsfolk that you have met. We did learn a little bit more in regard to the family name of Vigo being carved on the threshold of the tavern. That the names on the threshold are the town founders, and that there is one of those founders is still alive, which is crazy. But then again, Eladrin are immortal, so I guess it's not that crazy. So,
You just don't die.
They just don't die. We are in the full swing of Salura, the Festival of Illusions. Y'all haven't gone back outside yet,
Is it sundown now?
Yes, the sun set. The fight club didn't start until the sun was down.
Also, okay. So there's
now the sun is down. the festival is in full swing. If that is the direction you choose to go in.
Better time to go cold calling on the elderly than after the sun's gone down.
Right?
Yeah.
I thought,
Yeah.
did we talk about waiting until morning to do that? But if he's a town founder and he's like an immortal being, maybe he's not actually elderly in the sense of like energy. Perhaps he's among the festival.
That's right. He
So-
could be at the festival.
Yeah.
So right out the gate, when you get outside, turning your attention to roll 20. The first thing that you will notice is the moon is out. But it looks a lot different than a normal moon. Now, I have said this before, but Ascensia has 9 moons. This moon is called Salura. Salura is actually a fractured moon. It is not entirely spherical. And this, on the night of Salura, is when it is the closest to Ascensia. And the space, the dust and debris that kind of forms the atmosphere around Salura, because of how close it is to Ascensia, it gives the illusion of a full moon, of a complete moon. Hence the Festival of Illusions.
How does that affect the tides?
I mean, the Archentide is a thing, and the ocean disappears entirely.
So the Archentide is heavily associated with Salura.
The Archentide is heavily associated with all of the moons because because the moons are always working in these different orbits. They're constantly pulling the 2 different tides in those different directions. I have a model that I can show you, but I can't bring it up here because it's on my tablet.
So the last question, Michael, I'm sorry.
No,
Is the Archentide predictable based on
Yes.
or is it going to be okay? So
the season, it is predictable because there is the tidal season and the sunken season. The only thing that isn't predictable is the severity of the Archentide, because the Archentide is magical in nature.
So how long into the Archentide season are we right now?
You are. It started last month, so you guys are in it for a minute.
Okay.
Like, you traveled through it to get
Right.
to
Right.
Eldaria.
Sorry.
Because traveling. No apologies. You can ask all the questions you want about the world. Questions are easy. I can do questions all the damn time. So you see this illusion moon, and outside the tavern in the immediate vicinity, there are several merchant carts. There are several like stalls with people selling masks. This festival is often commemorated by people coming to town and wearing masks. It's a festival where you can pretend to be someone else. There is a nighttime procession moving through the area of participants carrying lanterns that are filled with bioluminescent plants. There is a moonlight archery competition.
Oh, fun.
There is a fortune teller. There is a contest of dew gathering.
What?
There is a dew gathering,
Oh,
as
like-
in dew.
I heard
Gather
D-O,
dew.
and I was like, what?
It would be even funnier if it was dude gathering.
Oh, I can do that.
I'll bet.
Not to mention, there's tons of food. This is basically think like the Ren Fair, but Fae
Sure.
and moon oriented. There's also an artist's alley. That's pretty much it.
Oh my gosh. There's so much filled with so much to do.
I know, crazy, right?
What a way to be lost in the city. Gosh.
But just because this is Dungeons and Dragons and sometimes math rocks are involved, everybody
Yeah.
give me a perception check.
Okay.
Okay.
Ooh, that was pretty good. Oh, you know what would be helpful if I had my character sheet?
I was
pulled
just
up?
about to say the
It's
same
really
thing.
funny because that is not the first time you've said that, and I would like
A supercut.
Supercut,
I'll jot it down.
please.
Of
I got-
Katie saying it would be helpful to
Okay,
have her
it'd be
character
helpful to
sheet
have your
up.
character sheet up. Yeah.
I got 12.
I got better than that. Hold on.
Well, Vigo, you are. This has been an emotion, probably a little bit of an overwhelming day for you, so it's okay for you not to notice.
Okay. It's
That
also
is
this
a dirty
whole
20.
festival's probably hitting a little too close to home.
It's a dirty 20.
Super easy to hide, right? So Katie, and it makes perfect sense that Dimitra would notice. Meg, what did you
She's
get?
doing.
An 11.
Oh yeah, so Odessa and Vigo are very distracted by all of the shiny or emotional
Blissfully
depth. Dimitra, you notice that there are a lot of guards around too.
Oh.
They don't particularly seem like they are sternly stationed anywhere, you know. They're just kind of scattered all along the perimeter of the buildings. There are a few on the roofs. Some of them are enjoying drink and food. Some of them are participating in the games. They don't necessarily, they look to be meshed into the event itself, but there is still a very heavy security presence at the festival.
As soon as Dimitra notices that, she will surreptitiously note it to both Odessa and Vigo, and she'll whisper to Vigo, so we gotta keep our sticky fingers to ourselves, okay? Only haggling, not anything else, okay?
Now listen here. Unless there's some wealthy person who's flaunting their wealth, you know I wouldn't try and pick the pocket of some random festival goer.
No, I'm talking about like the vendors.
Yeah. I've definitely seen you do that.
Ben,
You were trying to take things in Titanfell. We had to tell you not to.
I was casing a joint, but I didn't actually try and steal anything. Anyway, I love the idea of Vigo being super into fortune telling. So, being like extremely anti like everything of authority, but like, oh, fortune telling, that shit's real. Would anyone else like to have their fortune told?
I was thinking about the fortune telling.
That's
and I was, yeah. And then one of these contests, I don't know. Archery sounds fun, but would Dimitra have like heard of dew collecting contests? Is that a thing from the Feywild?
Give me a history check. You were pretty young when you left, right?
Yeah, I was like 12, something like that.
Oh, it makes sense for
So
her
I'm
not to remember.
Yeah. But that was a decent roll. That was an 18.
You do recall that as an event, but you don't recall the particulars of it.
Okay. Well, that sounds like something
like you know, those like an obscure board game you played as a kid that you remember the name of, but you couldn't for the life of you tell anybody how the rules work, like that.
That's not something that strikes home with me.
I would like to try. I want to do this dew collecting contest. Odessa, what do you want to do?
Oh, both of those activities sound great.
You move over to this little area that this dew collecting challenge is going to be run, and there it's kind of like set into a little alcove, but you can tell that there are these banners that are hung up on the wall, kind of plastered to the wall, making this frame, and it's illusion magic that has created the illusion of a like play space. Does that make sense? If you tore those down, it would close up. And inside is kind of a hedge maze, sort of set up. There is a high elf there. I don't have art handy for, so but screw
Totally
it.
fine.
There's a high elf there that's sort of guiding people in. You guys approach. Good evening.
Yes.
Blessing of Salura upon all of you. May the illusions be festive and fun and not at all terrifying. Would you like to participate in the dew gathering contest?
Yes, let's go.
Oh, right. So he hands you this basket that is made. It's woven out of wood, but the wood has very fine grains of silver in it. And a discerning naturalist or some person with intimate knowledge of the flora and fauna of the Feywild would recognize it as silver wood. Super creative and clever name there. And what you guys would be doing is you'll be moving through this little hedge maze, trying to collect these flowers, these specific moon blossoms that collect dew only during this night. And at the end of the night, all of the dew is collected. It stays in these flowers. You collect the flowers, put the flowers in the basket. All the dew is collected and made into a wine, but not alcoholic because it's for everybody. It's made into a drink that then gets shared with the city.
It's lovely.
So here's how this works.
Is it Mountain Dew?
You all can make survival checks, sleight of hand checks, and you'll have to make perception checks. So give me
All three?
I mean, if you're better at survival than you are at sleight of hand, do that. If you're better at sleight of hand than you are at survival,
Okay,
do
so
that.
not all three. Just pick one.
Just pick one.
Okay.
But I do
That
need
isn't-
a perception check from everybody still. Yeah.
Perception.
So we
I got 18 on.
I get a dirty.
Sorry, 18 on my sleight of hand.
Okay.
And oh, that was not good. An 8 on my perception.
Well, that's okay because I got a natural 20 on my perception for a 28.
Okay. These are none of your numbers help each other. This is all because each of you has your own basket.
Then I just want to spectate then.
Oh,
and
you're
root for
not. You're just
Dimitra.
watching.
Yeah.
Oh.
Unless it's a
Oh,
team
okay.
sport, then
It's not a team sport.
Yeah,
Each of you is
I'm
doing
just-
your own thing.
All right, so I got a dirty 20 perception and a 28 on sleight of hand.
So,
Nice.
Vigo, you move into the little thicket, and you do see some of these flowers, and the petals on them are this sort of blue silver, very, very stereotypical vision that you would expect collecting this bright silvery dew. But you notice in the bushes around these flowers, they're kind of vibrating a little bit, and you can hear like a kind of grumbling. Katie, what did you get on your sleight of hand?
An 18.
So each of you collects 5 of these flowers. Katie, what was your perception?
6.
So
Or an
as you
8, rather.
as you approach, this mean little mushroom goblin guy pops out and attacks you. So the way that the attacks work in this is it's high and low. So you roll and I roll d20, and whoever gets higher wins. Oh, you win because I rolled a natural 1.
That's right.
If you failed, you would drop some of the flowers.
So I just bop him on the head.
how
And
dare
he goes and disappears back into the bush.
That's right.
All right.
Illusion. No, he said an actual mushroom man.
He was an actual mushroom man.
You give me an Arcana check.
I think I'm good at those. What is that? That is a 19.
What did you get, Vigo?
An 11.
That makes sense that you would ask that question then. Dimitra, you know that no, in fact, these are illusions.
She's still gonna say it was an actual mushroom man. And if you want me to keep them away from you, you should give me one of your flowers.
I can handle myself. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Just seems not within
wow.
the theme of the evening for there to be actual mushroom goblins here. But okay.
That's pretty much it. And because I don't like for anything to be a throwaway, you can keep one of these. They're called Luna Blooms.
Luna blooms.
and when you consume a Luna Bloom for 1d6 hours, you get advantage on perception checks.
Can they bring me one too?
No, each one of them gets to keep one.
Vigo will take his Luna Bloom and put it behind Dimitra's ear.
Aww.
It's very cold.
Good thing I've got big ears. It'll fit.
Michael, do you have a table of snackies and foods that are offered? Because Odessa's definitely having snacks.
Oh, I absolutely do, yes. To drink, you can get a Glimmerdew mead if you want something to drink. That's in the immediate vicinity. And then there are Fayberry tartlets.
Oh, that sounds good.
And truffle eggs.
Oh. Okay.
Any more rainberry drinks nearby?
High or low?
High.
No.
Rats. Okay.
Is Odessa getting enough to share?
No. I'm just having snacks while you compete. I was spectating and cheering for you.
Oh.
I'm just kidding. She has a tartlet for you.
Okay, I was saying, that seems really not very nice of Odessa. Great. Let's go to the fortune teller with our snacks.
All right. A mysterious fortune teller known as the Starlit Oracle is set up in a secluded tent at the edge of the festival, fabric shimmering in the moonlight. So you come in. Who are all three of you trying to do this, or just Vigo?
I want to
Depends on how long each one takes. Go, Vigo, go.
Sure.
So as you walk in, just because I'm curious, give me an Arcana check.
The least funny number, 10.
So you say to yourself as you walk in, this might be an illusion. Then again, it might not. Sitting behind the table is a figure, again, elven in appearance, but they look sort of there and not there at the same time. There's the stereotypical setup with a crystal ball, maybe some oracle cards. They are wearing a cloak, and there's lots of swirling mist around their body. They are two small beads of light in their eyes as they look up at you, a hand coming out and gesturing for you to sit down. Your face is but one of many. Have you chosen which of one of them will meet the dawn?
I'm sorry, what?
What would you like to know? The stars see many paths. The past, the present, the future.
Let's see how good you are. Tell me about my past.
So they, in stereotypical fashion, wave their hand over the crystal ball, and it flickers with array of different colored lights. In your head, you can even hear sounds. At first, it's the sounds of like nature and birds, perhaps, the woods. But then you hear like faint voices. You hear yelling. You hear a scream. It gets much more intense. Your heart is now beating very loudly in your ears as their hand continues to dance in the air over the orb. And then it falls flat and they look up at you. I think you've had quite enough of your past.
Well,
They reach over next to them and pull a card from a deck and hand it to you.
I'll take it.
On the card is written, "Seek the mossy stones beneath the crescent oak. There lies what you have lost." And then the figure disappears.
I'll step out and say that. But that was more than I expected.
Oh. In a good way or a bad?
I don't know.
It looks like it was real. I'm gonna go next. She's gonna go in.
Again, similar setup, except this time it's a little bit brighter, and in the mist there are bits of ivy that are kind of floating around, and the figure behind the table has these big antlers, and there's this like green aura to them.
Oh.
The stars whisper that your patron watches. But what of the one who truly holds the strings?
What of the one who truly holds the strings?
What would you like to know? The stars see many paths, the past, the present, and the future.
Wow. You don't answer questions, do you? Let's go with the future.
So as their hand moves over the sphere, you hear the faint sounds of ravens and wings. You hear fell voices gradually getting louder. They are the voices of Odessa and Vigo. And it gets louder and louder, and you feel like you can hear crackling. It all kind of builds to this pitch and then stops. The tapestry of fate is fragile where you tread. A single thread binds you to a destiny long forgotten. If it frays, so too will the balance hold you. Or so too will the balance you hold. Yet in your hands lies the power to mend or unravel it all. And again, and in similar fashion, after they speak, they just kind of disappear and the scene resets.
Dimitra's gonna come out and be like, did your person have antlers, Vigo? Oh, excuse me. Did your person have antlers, Gil?
No.
Oh.
This
They
is
talk
a
to me
festival of illusions.
Yeah. They talked to me about fragile threads and weaving, but I don't know anything about how to weave.
I was told to seek the mossy stones beneath the crescent oak, and I'll find what I've lost.
Well, that we can do.
Well, sure, but I don't know what I've lost.
Well, I don't know how to weave, so...
You don't need to know. Now that you know where it is, you'll find out. Let's go.
I will say they were surprisingly accurate about my past, in a way that I wasn't expecting.
What's next?
I guess, was that it? You said fortune telling, we did the contest, and we got snacks.
Oh, were those the only three things?
Was there something else we wanted to do? Did Odessa actually pick something?
I want to see the procession of lanterns, but that's not a thing
Okay.
that we need to role play.
Yeah, no, it's and it's kind of a thing that's constantly happening. Think of like when you go to a festival or a fair and there's like parades and costumes. Sometimes there'll be like a costume parade or whatever, or specific groups moving through them. That's constantly happening during the festival. With more people joining in, sometimes people will break away. Sometimes they'll let their lanterns drift up into the sky. So it's kind of all around you all at once.
So should we try and find this elf
Tonight? You think they're gonna be... Aren't they like really old? Do you think they're gonna be awake?
Is there any part of the festival that is like advertised or known to be done by or participated in by the town founders or anything like that?
Not that you have learned, no.
So we just have to ask around and see if he's here, because we don't even know
the
what
tavern
he looks
keeper told
He told you what district he lives in.
Yeah.
Right, but just because he
But go
lives
to
there
the-
doesn't mean he's...
Right. We're gonna go
He might
find
be
his
at
house.
the festival doing a ceremony or something.
Right.
We could also say that we are enjoying the festival and time jump to the morning. If that's more what you're thinking, Odessa.
If that is what you would rather fast forward and go back to the tavern.
That's fine.
So we get back to the tavern. There's lots of people still about. It's this festival kind of is one of those ones that just goes on all the time, all night long. But people dip in and out. Returning to the tavern, you are met with Thalion. Thalion is much more inebriated at this point. But when he sees the three of you, he immediately comes over and goes, Gil, I had a question for you that I thought you might be interested in.
Shoot.
I have had several other people approach me about bringing our rainberry mead back on offer, and I was wondering if you would like to go and speak with the farmer on our behalf, see the orchard, and see if they have a harvest.
Okay. I can do that, I suppose.
Excellent. There's a farmstead on the outskirts of the town, near the observatory.
What's their name?
Ailson.
Bless you.
Ailston?
Ailson.
Ailson.
You should take another sip. It seems like your mouth is dry.
Yes, I should take another sip.
Excellent. Well, do you have any more of that mead handy?
Absolutely. I'll send it up to your room.
That would be lovely. Thank you.
He
Much obliged.
pats you very haphazardly on the shoulder and then goes back into the midst of the tavern. You go back up to the room. The room is just as you left it, cozy and warm. After a few moments, there's a knock on the door, and someone offers you the bottle of mead, and we take a rest.
Dimitra's gonna pour some of that mead into her flask, into her hip flask. Never know when it's gonna come in handy.
So we go to sleep. We wake up the next morning. Everybody roll a d20.
Wah, wah. Bad dreams again for Dimitra. That's a 4.
I also got a 4.
I had a 16.
Oh, Vigo, you slept really well. Well, pretty well. Pretty well. Odessa and Dimitra had sort of a shared dream, actually, though not exactly. Both of you dreamt of fire. Good morning.
A pleasant evening. Well rested, I feel.
Oh, speak for yourself. That was a dreamt like I was like there was a lot of fire. It was not a good dream, so I assume I felt like it was like burning.
Playing with it too often, and that's what happens, I suppose.
What else?
Shall we then? I mean, let's get it over with, I suppose.
Okay. I thought for sure I was gonna have to wheedle you into it. So I'm actually really proud of you for not running away.
I'm just skipping 3 steps and moving forward with it.
It's just like old times, huh?
Yes. To some extent.
Dimitri's gonna lean into Odessa and is like, he knows he never wins with me.
Is this something you wish to maybe have a bit of privacy for? I know we have not known each other very long. I have a painter to visit.
I would not turn down the company, but if you would prefer to go see the painter, I'm not going to stop you. This is, after all, sort of about my family, and I could see where you have other things to concern yourself with.
We'll go with you, right, Odessa? We'll go with him.
Sure, just so long as we make some time to visit the painter after.
Yeah, of course. He needs moral support first, and then painting second.
I presume this won't take long. There's almost no way this is actually my family. So we'll go figure it out and go from there.
All right. It is a pleasant morning. You walk outside the tavern.
We get breakfast.
Yes, you can
That's
absolutely have breakfast.
Most important meal of the day.
Indeed. Vigo, you are able to recall the directions you were told by the Thalian the previous night. Upon arriving in that area, do you want to ask for more specific directions?
Oh, no, I thought we were going to the founder.
Yeah, we
Yes,
don't know
but
where
you don't
he
know
lives.
exactly where his house is. You know what district he
sorry.
lives in. That's okay.
Sure. Is there anybody standing around that I
There
can
are, yes, there are the city, there are moving deeper into the city. So bearing in mind you guys have been sort of in this the entryway kind of, the starting area of the city map. You had to get to a certain level before the other areas opened up. So you move a little bit deeper, and there is a fair security presence consistently throughout the city. There are guards in very ornate, elven armor, kind of everywhere.
Wow.
I guess I'll ask, against my better judgment, I'll approach one of the guards.
Yeah, so you approach the guard. He's a wood elf, fairly tall and thin.
Excuse me, would you happen to know where the residence of Idris Silvenar is?
Good morning to you. Yes, I do. He's right down the lane there, just down the steps towards the fountain.
Thank you very much. That was rather less difficult than I anticipated. Thank you. Good day.
Good day.
We'll head on that way.
You head that way, and you go down these steps. And while this is sort of a little private alcove, which you would imagine, this is nice. It's actually a fairly comely sort of house, very humble a place for somebody of such presumably loftiness. There are, however, lots of plants all around. There is a solarium attached to one side of the structure, with all kinds of greenery and vibrantly colored fey plants growing out about it. What do you do?
We go take a big, deep breath, have a very pregnant pause, and then knock on the door.
There's a pause, a silence for a moment, and you hear from inside, "Just a moment." And after another few moments, the door opens up, and there is a very old elf standing there. He is dressed in very nice robes, like silken robes, leaning on a cane. He probably at one point was very tall. He's shriveled a little bit. He's a little more hunched now. But he looks at the three of you. Good morning. I wasn't expecting any company. To what do I owe the pleasure?
Good morning, Master Silvenar.
At your service. And you are?
Yes. My name is Galen Gildensky. New in town here with two of my companions here. This is Odessa and Dimitra.
We brought you breakfast. She'll present some of the pastries from the tavern.
Very kind of you. I have already eaten, but perhaps I could have them later with tea. Do come in. He steps to the side and moves in. He moves very slowly. You can tell that he has a lot of age on him. The inside of the house is fairly humble as well. I will note, though, that there are lots of things, lots of items, magical instruments, alchemical sets, artwork, and plants everywhere. Sort of like a you ever see Howl's Moving Castle? So imagine like the inside of Hal's room,
Yeah.
combined with the inside of Bag End of like Bilbo's house, something like somewhere in the middle of that.
Okay.
But he leads you in. There's a fairly large sitting area next to where the solarium is. Please come in and sit down. Gildensky. It is a name that has some familiarity to it. From an age ago, though. So what can I do for you this morning?
Not trouble your door for too long. You see, we were staying at the inn last night, and we noted that there were some names carved above
Mm.
the door.
Mm-hmm,
It was the founders of the town, including yourself, correct?
That is correct, yes. Oh, that was a literal lifetime ago.
One of the familial names is actually the same as a friend of ours, and we were going to inquire about that family if we could.
Oh, absolutely. Always happy to share the history of our fair city. Which family name were you wanting to inquire about?
Porthiriel.
So when you say that, his expression dims a little bit. And he leans back on his seat. Porthiriel. And you say that this name belongs to a friend of yours?
Yes.
See. Well, what exactly would you like to know about them?
What you knew about their family, that family, and if they were still around or anything of that nature.
Oh heavens! No, they left long ago. Do you know much about Northveil's history? The significance of the founders?
Precious little. We arrived in town yesterday. We're from actually the next continent over. We're not from here.
Oh, that is quite interesting. And you are also displaced, Whisperkin, yes?
Yes.
And how long has it been since you walked under the Feylight?
Over a decade.
Yes, about 13 or so years.
Do you recall the history of Everson?
You'd have to remind me. That's not a tale I've.
I do
recalled.
not.
I don't think.
So many of our youth knowing the history of their people. I can't really blame you, though. We are so scattered.
You were displaced very young.
Everson once served as the capital city of the Fae. It was the seat of power during the First Age. This was roughly 4,000 years ago, I believe. Gosh, has it been so long? At any rate, Everson fell in the final conflict of the Shadowfell incursion. I'm sure you have at least heard of that.
Yes.
Yes. Always the juicy bits. Well, Everson wasn't destroyed in a traditional sense. Brixon had a means of breaking into the Fae from the Shadowfell through gates, magic crystalline gates, and the largest of which formed within the Tower of the Sun in Everson. When Grixon was slain, the magic that bound the gates was disrupted, shattered, and the first displacement event occurred. And the entire city of Everson was taken. I and your friend's ancestor along with it. I was serving as a guard captain at the time. They assisted in the evacuation efforts of the tower. They were a gardener, you see. They tended to a grove in Everson, the grove of the Mother Moth. I'm sorry, you said you were from the neighboring island?
Yes, Karushind.
Yes, perhaps
your continent here just recently appeared with the coming of the Archentide.
Yes, the most perplexing event. That's something I have been considering and puzzling over for some time. Corrigid, as well as Eldaria, the name Gaia is familiar to you?
Yes, somewhat.
Yes, these creatures, these entities, embodiments of energy. The Mother Moth is a Gaia of the Fae, though we do not call them Gaia. In Elvish, they are called the Ilvana, spirits of nature, mothers of the elements. There was a grove in Eversun that the Mother Moth returned to every 10,000 years to lay her eggs. It's the only place in the Feywild that she would do so. Your friend's ancestor was one of the gardeners in charge of tending to this grove. When Eversun fell, they had enough foresight to rescue one of the saplings. That's the Fey oak that grows now at the base of the mountain, the source of our Fey light. Tell me, Galen, was it?
Yes.
How many seasons have you seen?
Rather few, as it were. What would be a roughly 27-ish year old Fae? Like, elf, Eladrin. Like 100?
Yeah, I'd say between 100 and 200, somewhere in there. I don't know what the maturation. There's like the player's handbook would be like, usually reach maturity at this age.
Yeah, I thought we worked out that Vigo and Dimitra are roughly the same age.
Yes, but I don't
Not
actually
actually
years.
answering as Vigo though.
He's an Eladrin.
If I tell him I'm like 25, he's gonna be like, "You are a kid."
You don't look like an infant.
You're clearly not.
So I've seen, I honestly I don't know the exact number, but roughly 100 or so.
Peculiar.
Well, that's not seasons, but you know what I mean. 100 years.
His body language, he's clearly a little suspicious. He looks at Dimitra and Odessa. And what are your stories? Don't often see other Fieldbolg in town. What do you make of our city?
It's very beautiful.
And Dimitra, was it?
Mm-hmm.
Are you a mutual friend of this Tarthiriel?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
They leave.
You have to forgive me. These are memories I have not considered in quite some time. In the devastation of the collapse of the displacement, much of the old city was swallowed up. A lot of the old Eversun structures actually are underground here. Though some of them, as I'm sure you've seen about the city, we have used as foundations to build up new around. We were in maybe our 20th season. And when I went to see Aelris, was his name, he was just gone. He left in the night.
Did you say Aelris?
I did.
As in the rainberry farmer?
I do know the farmer on the outskirts of the city. Perhaps just a coincidence.
So the Torthiriel family just left without saying anything to you?
Yes. Well, that's a little more private than I am accustomed to sharing with strangers.
To be completely frank with you, our friend is just trying to find any information he can about his family. So I was hoping you might be able to tell us where he went or why he left, so we could help track this person or this family down.
Hmm. How much do you know about this family?
Well, very little, or I probably wouldn't be here asking.
It's dangerous to go around asking questions with so little contextual information, you know.
I suppose I didn't realize I was asking about something that was particularly dangerous. Is there should I be concerned?
Hmm. No, I suppose not. As I said, they left long ago. They did have children, and the generations dispersed among the peoples of Northveil. But I do not know of any that still reside within the city.
Would it ease your mind were I to tell you that our friend's family has all, the only family he knew, has all perished? So he was looking for any extended members that might still be around?
Risking a moment of honesty, that actually saddens me a great deal.
There's something you're not telling me. I mean, that's obvious.
I could say the same of you.
I don't know what you're talking about.
You know a peculiar thing about Eladrin? The light of their season is often seen within their eyes. He turns and glances about the room. There's paintings all around the room of different elves and characters. The most brilliant artists I know, but none of them ever able to capture that light. I'll ask this plainly, and I'll ask this once. Are you a doppelganger?
Absolutely not.
Then you're a changeling.
I don't know what you're talking about.
He looks up at Odessa and Dimitra. What are the two of you doing?
Dimitra is eating a tart.
It's like wolfing it.
Just fixing her face on the tart.
He like raises his hand, and you hear a latch, and the door locks behind you guys. He then like moves his other hand, and the curtains draw.
Oh, this is not. I did not agree to this.
It really is dangerous asking questions without that contextual knowledge I mentioned earlier. But then again, how would you get it if you didn't ask any questions? That's quite a perplexing conundrum. You are safe here, Galen. I take it that Tauriel is your family name.
As I said, a friend.
Mm.
All due respect, sir, you do seem very trustworthy, but how can we trust that this is a safe space to talk?
Well,
We have very little to go on besides your word, and I have been burned by the word of others before.
that is a fair point, I suppose. Perhaps I could share with you how it is I came to meet Aelris.
It's a start.
You know, I never learned their name on the day. They didn't speak it. And I didn't ask. It didn't matter. We were in the tower when the first gate opened. It wasn't just destructive, it was calamitous. The noise, screaming, the structure of the building itself shaking. Rixon and his forces pouring in. The Tower of the Sun served as the seat of power in Eversun. It was where the court resided during their season. But it also was the home of the city's university. There were quite a few scholars and students. I was moving down the hall of the second tier towards the courtyard. And that's when I saw them. Just a gardener. They worked part-time there in the courtyard. I had seen them in days past. They were very unassuming. They blended in. They belonged. Something struck me about them when I saw them. There was all this chaos, all this noise, all this havoc. And there was this gardener, calm as a reed on a windless day. Like they belonged there. They weren't anyone's servant. They weren't following anyone's orders. They were just there in the center of it all. And then it happened. There was an explosion. A blast of Shadowfell energy, wild and destructive, erupted towards one of the ends of the courtyard. There was a group of students close by. And this gardener threw themselves in between the blast and these children, pushing them out of the way. His body flew across the air, smacking into the nearby wall with a sickening thud. As the space cleared, I searched for their body. And when I came around the corner and saw them, they were unconscious. There was blood pooling all around. And their form had changed. Their face, their features were so different. They were so pale, so... I am ashamed to say, but my memory of it is as clear as it was in that moment. And prejudice is difficult to let go of, even for nostalgia's sake. But I remember just how wrong they looked. I moved to their side, half curious if what I was seeing was real, curious if perhaps it was an effect of this magic, but I knew in the moment what they were. The changeling. The thing that I had been taught my entire life to fear. The story said that they were tricksters, that they were predators, parasites. They wore faces to deceive. But what I saw in front of me was not a monster. It was just a person. A person that had given up everything to protect others. Others that they knew looked at them with hateful eyes, or at least would look upon them with hateful eyes. I did not hesitate. I healed them. They awoke, as I'm sure you can imagine, with more fear in their eyes than I had in mine. I could see in their expression that despite all of this chaos that was going on around us, they feared me. That looks has stayed with me. I helped them to their feet. We helped the rest escape as the tower came falling down around us. In the chaos outside of the tower, they just disappeared into the crowd. Happenstance would have it that after the city fell and the survivors picked themselves up out of the ruin, that he was among them. I did not share his secret. And when they brought the sapling before us, well, I knew they had saved so many. Without that tree, this place would have withered and died. And instead, it has flourished. We didn't speak much in those early days. There was a lot to do, as I'm sure you can imagine. But after things had settled, he, along with the other town founders, and I set to lay the foundations for Northveil. And they were integral in establishing the city's first agricultural efforts, helping us grow food. We became friends. Changing lifespan much shorter than mine, as I'm sure you know. I know that they died, but they did not want to risk exposing themselves. They kept up their disguise admirably, their body never showing any signs of age or heaviness or weariness. They blended in with the other elves perfectly. But then one day, they were just gone. Their house was tidied up, the bed made, and there was a jar on the nightstand with a seedling in it. And he turns and looks. They're off in the solarium, kind of in the corner, growing up into the corner of the glass is this really, really crazy tangle of wood and vines with these bright purple blooms. A shade blossom tree. Exceedingly difficult to grow in such bright surrounds. So you can trust that you are safe because he was safe. And I have endeavored to help others like him, like yourself. And to sway the rest of Feykind. Though, as I'm sure you can imagine, that is a somewhat slow effort. And I'm certainly not getting any quicker. He very stands up, very feebly. It gives him a second. He's on his feet. If you'll excuse me. Would you like, any of you like any tea? Coffee?
He sounds great.
That's very kind. Thank you.
He very slowly, awkwardly slow, shambles out of the room towards the kitchen.
Dimitra's just gonna look at Vigo.
All very interesting information to relay to our friend.
And how are you?
It's always nice to hear another story.
You don't believe him?
I didn't say I didn't believe him. I have no reason to doubt his version of events.
Do you think there's a different version of events?
You know how large Eladrin ears are, right?
Sure.
Well, certainly he can hear everything we're saying.
Being okay. I don't think there's any concern with what I'm saying.
I am fine because talking about the family of apparently our friend.
Okay. Our friend that you are very close to. I would expect it to hit a little harder.
I am sure that walking him through that will be an interesting process.
Okay.
After a few moments, very slowly comes shambling back in with a tray, clinking with a teapot and some teacups and saucers. Even though no one else asked for it, he brings cups and saucers for everybody and sets it down on the table.
I did.
Oh, sorry. Well, then a good thing he brought it anyway.
Can I make an insight check to see if this like shuffling act is for real?
Sure.
Okay.
I mean, he is very old.
You can ask him how old he is if you want.
Oh God.
If you remember how
You-
he phrased
you
it
don't
about
know?
seasons and stuff.
You don't know?
No, I don't know.
Yeah, you don't know. He pours the tea and settles back into his seat. Now, what brought you to Northveil?
Ah, well, that's these two are on a diplomatic mission.
Diplomat. So, I used to sit on the council of Northveil.
Yes, I had heard that is my personal interest in meeting you.
Yeah. Diplomat?
Indeed.
Yes, it makes sense that Carajid would have sent some emissary of some sort. Are you looking to forge alliances or put up barriers?
Hopefully more the former. It probably wouldn't be just me, should it be the latter.
Fair enough. And you, fellow Whisperkin, what brought you to Northvale?
Oh, goodness, what didn't bring me to Northvale? It's been a long time since I've been around other Fae. Tell you what, I was very excited to see some other satyrs around. We're not the most common sort, so it's refreshing to see people who look like me. um,
Have you been into the valley yet?
no, what's in the valley?
Oh, there's an entire family of satyr that live there. They tend to a herd of goats that live up into the mountains for their wool.
And they stay in one spot?
They do.
Oh,
Somewhat limited options where we are currently, but they have put down good roots back to their winter court leanings, I think, making
that's
do in
dope.
the circumstances that they were dealt.
Sure. It's every satyr I've ever met has been more of the wandering sort, than the
Yes,
type to put down roots.
we have had quite a few pass through hither and thither.
Hard to find new experiences if you're just boop, in one place all the
Mm.
time.
I don't find that true at all, but then again, different strokes, I suppose.
That's true. It takes all kinds, doesn't it?
Indeed. I see that you are a bard. Either that or you're
I
some sort
am.
of musical instrument salesperson.
Oh no, these are not for sale. These are all highly valuable just to me. I don't think anyone else would care to have them. Uh, yeah, I am a bard. And there is. You seem incredibly knowledgeable, if you don't mind my saying so.
Thank you.
I have been hoping to find a bit of information about some Fey lore that I was not very familiar with until more recently.
Sure, I'll be happy to share any insights that I may have.
What do you know about the Raven Queen and her sister?
That's a dark subject.
I know. I heard there's a whole war going on about it.
War is one word for it. Yes.
What would you call it?
Does. Growing pains, really.
Interesting.
I can't say for certain because my dealings with entities of the Shadowfell have been somewhat limited or aggressive, as you can imagine. But I am fairly certain that the Raven Queen doesn't have a sister.
I'm sorry, what?
Yes. What's your interest in the Raven Queen? Just out of curiosity. Sorry, my seat is all kerfuffled.
I understand that feeling. My interest in the Raven Queen. I'm an archaeologist of sorts. I like visiting temples and ruins, and I came across a space where I was able to read snippets of the Raven Queen's story in my youth, and I've been fascinated with her ever since. When we were in Titanfell, we went to there was the Feywild exhibit, and it depicted a sister, which I had not seen
Yes,
before then.
familiar with this ruse.
This ruse.
Yes. The Raven Queen, something of a collector, collects knowledge, all sorts of things.
Yeah.
And her involvement in the first Fey War led her to some more arcane studies. And this is a difficult subject. In the days following Eversun's collapse, I, along with several other Eladrin from the city, formed something of a expeditionary force. We feared that the Shadowfell forces, despite Grixon's defeat, may attack again. So, along with a planeswalker, we ventured into the Shadowfell for a season. And in my time, part of that party, we came across many agents of the Raven Queen. So the Raven Queen, her stories in the Fae and the knowledge that mortals have of her in the material plane all paint a very different picture than what she presents herself as in the shade of the Shadowfell. Ravens are carrion birds. They thrive off of war and conflict. I don't know the exact nature of what happened, but something after the end of the first Fey War broke an alliance that the Raven Queen had with the Court of Origin. And in her overzealous quest for vengeance, she sought something, well, given present company, I suppose It is the best thing to tell you. She is partially responsible for the creation of the doppelganger.
How do you mean?
She is a lofty person. The Shadowfell isn't some plane of utter chaos and ruin. There are civilizations there. There are people there. She funded and aided in research, experimentation. Her agents would often break through the veil into the Feywild and kidnap Changeling. They would take them back to the Shadowfell, to the Hall of Memory, her residence, her fortress. And they were experimented on. Those experiments eventually led to the creation of the doppelganger, which I'm sure you are aware of their impact on the Changeling and the outlook that the rest of the Fae have on them. The doppelganger were used during the Shadowfell incursion to sow seeds of chaos and turmoil within the courts. Many spies, many assassins, all doppelgangers sent by the Shadowfell. And the Changeling as a people were scapegoated. This is also something that I believe the Raven Queen had a hand in. Helping to spread lies and slander. I believe I might have a diary that I could give you. Give me just a few moments. He, again, very slowly stands up and goes a different direction.
Should you like to point me in the right direction? I'm happy to fetch for you, sir.
It's really all right. Don't worry. I'll only be a moment.
And
He
now
disappears down another hallway.
it's Vigo's turn.
I have to give you guys space. So
Turn and look at Dimitra.
I don't want to be here when Vigo challenges her to a duel.
you can go after him if you want.
Just daggers. Staring just daggers.
Actually, do you want to, Odessa?
Yes, I do.
Okay. So instead, he'll come along. You can assist me, and the two of you go down this hallway. Well, yeah. So we'll stay with Vigo and Dimitra for a moment, and then we'll pick up with Odessa and whatever this fucking guy's name is that I can't fucking remember.
Sylvanar.
I have been. What is it?
Yeah.
Sylvanar.
Thank you.
Salura.
I've been writing the founder over and over again because I could not remember
He has
his
a
name.
first name too.
Well,
Adrian.
Adrian. I have a different first name that I have in my notes for him, and it's because the reason I said that name last time is because I was looking at the wrong artwork. I was looking at the artwork for the other NPC.
Oh,
So
and
I'm
that was the
actually we're
title.
probably gonna we could probably just retcon that because we've been mostly using his last name. Because the name that I've been using is Arathalion.
Arathalion.
Okay.
Or Arathalion, I guess.
So, Dimitra's just like, oh shit.
I want you to know that I know this is not your fault, and you are not to blame. But I'm very angry right now. Not at you. Not at you. I do want to kill the Raven Queen.
Yeah, that is Um, probably don't want to say that too loudly. I had no idea.
I know. I'm not mad at you.
But
Yet.
this is what I've been trying to learn is more about her, and learning more about her I am. And this is
What have we learned about making pacts with eldritch beings before we know
look,
much
there are just there are many things I'd like to say, but I can't say them.
Understood.
Look, I'm not going to hold it. I told you so over your head for forever, but yes.
Okay, yeah, I'll go ahead. I know you're dying.
No. I've
Just
said what I
go-
needed to say. No, our
Mhm.
cue have beef now, as it were, as the kids say.
As the kids say. Yeah,
The youth.
that's I also am very interested to hear how this reconciles that she doesn't have a sister,
This is all
in
very
which
interesting.
this is very confusing. Then why have I been collecting the stories? Maybe it's not a sister at all, but somebody else trying. I had no idea I was going to be this popular, to be honest.
Yes, what a bother to be so wanted in the world.
I mean, I'd rather not have two unrelated beings warring over me. One of whom is into some things that are problematic.
Evil? We can just say evil. Sometimes it's black and
I
white.
mean, yeah, sometimes it's black and white, but again, trying not to invoke anyone's wrath today while sitting
Understood.
in this house. uh, yeah, he doesn't. Just trying to hold some things close to the chest as well. So
That magic purple sword, though.
I'm not.
it is a really good sword.
There must be some other supernatural entity you can bond with that wasn't single-handedly responsible for the
Is phrasing not a thing? Are we not doing phrasing?
demonization of my people.
Yes,
But
I don't care for that.
how kind of you. I understand
I
you
don't,
can't
I
say
don't
the
know what
things
else
you
you
probably
want
want
from
to
me.
say. Nothing. I'm not. We'll fix it together.
Okay. Look, I do regret how things have shaken out here.
It's again, I blame no one. Well, other than her, but we'll fix it. Somehow, some way, we'll fix it.
And she's gonna take his hand and say, I'm gonna do everything in my power to make this right.
And I as well. For you.
Not just for me.
Go ahead. You want to switch?
Meanwhile, you guys very slowly shuffle down the stairs into this earthen basement. There is a desk and all sorts of shelves. Again, down even more stuff down here, but this is a lot more like stacks of books and stacks of papers and piles of things, slightly more disorganized. So he starts kind of sort of shambling and looking around. Anything you want to do or say?
Yeah, so earlier you mentioned your people have another name for what we are know here as Gaia. The Ilvana, did you say?
Yes, Ilvana, the
You
great
speak
spirits of
them
nature.
so casually. Are they then quite common in the Fae?
Uh, in a manner of speaking. Then again, when you've lived as long as I have, you tend to accumulate these stories and lose perspective on just how frequent and few they tend to be. But there are a number of Gaia spoken of with great reverence in the Feywild.
What uh, what are they?
So he stops looking for what he's looking for and kind of like settles on his staff for a second. Oh, if memory serves, from my schoolboy days, there's a story in the Fey pantheon. There was a god of the elements. His siblings grew jealous, covetous. They thought that he had an unfair balance on the power that he had versus what they had, and so they conspired to kill him. And his body was then broken down and diluted, and the elemental energies, the primordial magic that he was made out of, seeded the world, and there grew the Gaia, as you would call them.
And what can they do?
Well, the myth of the mother moth is that her flight pollinates the trees, the Fey oaks of the Feywild, the trees that tap down into the life of the world to shone the Fey light. Some Gaia act as guardians of sacred places. Some Gaia can help life to flourish, plants to grow. What is your interest in them, child?
Oh, well, I. There is one where I grew up. Or stories, legends, at least. The mountain, we called it. They just seem to be cropping up an awful lot in regards to all of the strange occurrences that have brought together planes and continents.
Yes. Quite a conflux of bizarre events.
Indeed.
As if some twisted being were playing some sick game. Well, these sort of things, when the natural world becomes disrupted, migration patterns change,
Yes.
predators choose new territory.
This is true.
The Gaia, the Ilvana, are intrinsically tied to the natural world, both of the material plane and the Fey plane. I would suspect that they probably traverse all the planes to some extent.
Sure. So I'm guessing then that they don't all necessarily need a physical body. Then
My
I would imagine.
understanding is that they have cyclical bodies. They will change over time and die, and then new ones will take their place.
Oh, okay. All right. So, but no, like separate entities. They are a fixed bit of matter.
Matter? Sort of, yes. That is a very peculiar question. Could you possibly rephrase it in a different way?
No, I don't.
That's
I
all
don't
right.
think I can.
That's
We're
okay.
We're just puzzling out loud, trying to, like I said, they just keep popping up in strange places and elements, and it just, some strange things have been happening, and I just want to know how involved they are and where
I
these
cannot
things are coming
say that they are responsible for any of these strange occurrences, but they would certainly feel the effects of them and would have their own reactions to them.
Oh, so the increased activity is just another side effect.
One might imagine, yes. Have you had some interactions with it, Gaia? I would be most interested to hear about that.
The mountain protects the land on which my tribe lived. It stood tall over a valley. It was very defensible land, so it's difficult to tell, though, as my friend Galen over there will tell you, I am not the biggest fan of metaphors. It was easy to believe that perhaps the legends were merely a metaphor for the physical mountain, but lately it seems that is less and less likely.
There's a playwright friend of mine who always has a joke. What's a metaphor? Breaking the fourth wall. I don't quite get it.
I thought it was for cows.
Meadow. Depends on how you enunciate.
So as he's like looking around, he goes back to looking around. He is moving some stuff around, and he kind of shifts this jar, this with a firebug in it. And when he sets it down, the firebug immediately like flies to the side of the jar towards Odessa.
Yeah.
And he continues looking for his stuff.
May I?
Sure, go nuts.
Can I lift the...
Careful, Lise. Yeah, it
make friends
flies up and it's just all around your head. And it literally looks kind of like a flying candle flame. Like it's very bright and very intense and so fast that you can't really see its wings. You know when you see like a bug fly on a security camera and it looks like a fairy? It's like that. Oh, yes, it's an ember fly. I keep a swarm of them to help with pollinating during the summer season. She's going to be my next queen.
Oh, lucky girl.
She seems to have have a liking for you.
Yes, I have a thing for animals and fire, apparently.
Well, I think I have found what I was looking for. Shall we rejoin your companions?
Yeah, I'll sort of like guide, like never actually touch the ember fly, but just sort of guide around the flittering energy back into the glass.
All right.
Not to get you off track, but knowing that Vigo's family probably largely relied on oral tradition, have I ever heard the name of Aelris Tortherio?
Yes, you have. I mean, again, you were a very small child, and you've had a lot of trauma. So it's easy. It's easy for things to get buried. It's easy for things to get lost. But sitting with it for a moment and sitting, you can recall. Choose a family, a family elder figure.
How long ago was this?
This character was very, very long ago.
Okay, well, how long ago? So they were around when the displacement happened.
Yes.
And how long ago was
displacement?
The first, which was 2,000 years ago.
Oh.
I don't think any of us realized that it had been happening that long.
That's okay.
Yeah. Wait,
Yeah.
so whoa, that opens a
That's a
whole
long
other
time.
can of worms.
It
Like,
does.
I'm very confused.
So I was
Yeah.
you can recall a story that your grandfather used to tell whenever uh, uh, we can talk some other time about the festivals that Changeling chose to honor or celebrate.
Sure.
But you recall a story of like the clan patriarch. The Vales the Changeling live in are family structures made up of multiple families usually, but there would still be like, you know, these are the proctors and these are the so and so's and these are, and you can recall this the Tartheriel clan patriarch, kind of a almost a mythological story. I'm reminded of The Hobbit when Gandalf is telling Bilbo about his great ancestor who killed the Goblin King and invented golf on the same day. Like that sort of story.
Okay.
And they were a keeper of the great tree. They were somebody who tended to one of the great tree, a landmark sort of tree within the Feywild that would be a part of like colloquial folklore.
Got
I
it.
have not invented. You are free to invent that.
No, that's fine. Okay. That's all I needed.
You will be having quite a few recovered memories, I think, in the next little bit.
Sure.
So, so coming back upstairs, Erythalion, that's the name we decided to go with because that's the name that I remember him as. Comes up and he shuffles across the room to hand Dimitra a. It's not one single. I mean, it is a single journal, but it has like pages and excerpts ripped from other books and other journals, sort of tucked in, and it's all bound together. This is a collection of documents that I accumulated from several of my kinsmen during our time in the Shadowfell. Perhaps there is some other information you may be able to glean from it.
And sorry, this was before the break, or not necessarily. It's a lot of information coming at me. So just remind me, this is a collection of information about the Raven Queen.
It's journals from his time in the Shadowfell, and in those entries there might be some information about the Raven Queen.
Okay.
Master Sylvanar,
Yes.
nothing I say is going to convince you that I am an Eladrin, is it?
You know, it is a peculiar thing. I have met quite a few changeling in my time here, and none of them can get that light right. So no, I'm afraid not. Take comfort in knowing that most of my kinsmen here are not quite as observant as I am.
So Vigo will just take a big, like, let out a deep sigh and drop his disguise and just shrinks a little bit, ears get a little pointier, hair a little messier, the color just drains from everything. Says, "My name is Vigo Treeminder, or as you would say, Torthiriel. Aelris Torthiriel is, as far as I know, my ancestor. Though this raises many questions, because you're talking about millennia ago, him coming here, and I only came out of the Fae less than 2 decades ago."
It seems that your ancestor led quite a life. Treeminder. Common tongue. So you were displaced to the material plane.
Correct.
How old were you?
Around 12.
Treeminder. It does have a nice ring to it, I might say. Do you have much of a green thumb?
My family did. I did not inherit that particular quality from them.
You really didn't.
You know, it was not something that came easily to me either, but I was just so stubborn that I just decided that I was going to get good at it. But then again, longevity and all. I am sure you have many other talents that would make your ancestor proud, though.
Well, talents, yes. Pride inspiring is entirely a different question, I think.
Oh, I beg to differ. I think that any people who spend the majority of their time hiding in plain sight are well worthy of praise.
Well, my
What are you
people
trying
are
to
all
tell him?
gone. The hands of the elf that I came in here disguised as.
Wait. Your kinsman, your veil was killed by that Eladrin that you wear?
Correct.
I know, it's weird.
So weird.
And how old did you say you were?
The time I must have been about 14 or 15.
He actually... Dimitra, may I have that journal back?
Sure.
So as you hand it to him, and he like starts to shuffle through it, and he gets towards like the back of it, and he... Do you know much about tracking through the plains?
No.
It's quite difficult.
Imagine it is.
Yes.
She's probably good at it. Dimitra's gonna kind of offhandedly gesture at Odessa.
Oh, yeah, familiar with planar travel, are we?
Somewhat, yes.
Ah, lovely talent, that. We have worked to maintain reconnaissance on the Shadowfell throughout the years. I am well past my prime and no longer fit for field work, unfortunately, but I still have some involvement in those matters. I believe one of our soldiers found your veil after it was destroyed. This next bit might be a bit uncomfortable.
Not anything I'm not used to at this point.
Dimitra's gonna scoot over and discreetly hold out her hand to Vigo in case he wants to hold it.
He'll take it.
Our team was tracking a Shadowfell agent, one of the Raven Queens. And their trace led them to the scene of your veil. They were collecting bodies. The team was able to dispatch most of the agents. The target, unfortunately, escaped. There was a rainberry orchard nearby. Does that sound correct?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
They tended rainberry trees, yes.
You are well accustomed to secrets and trust and the difficulty of maintaining a balance between those two things, yes?
More than you could possibly understand.
So I think you'll respect my verbiage when I tell you I think you should pay a visit to the cemetery. It's quite lovely this time of year, after all.
For a crescent. I wrote it down.
Crescent oak.
Crescent oak. There.
There is, in fact, several.
Mossy stones nearby?
Oh, aplenty. It should come as no coincidence that there's only a few people still in Northveil that were there when Eversun fell. One of them is the groundskeeper at the cemetery.
Mm-hmm. And there's a small chapel, I suppose, in the cemetery, is it there?
There is indeed. Well,
And
chapels.
a mausoleum.
Chapel's
That might-
really not quite the word I would use, but yes, a small structure.
And a mausoleum that might be related to the Raven Queen and her not quite sister.
Quite possibly. It's been a while since I have been there. Though I will say that there aren't many representations of the Shadowfell here in Northveil. And the Raven Queen is of the Shadowfell. To that subject, have my... Go ahead.
What's the groundskeeper's name?
Redrin.
Oh, okay, so not the same one that I've heard of.
Oh, what's the name you have?
Traylon.
Oh, no, it's him.
Okay.
Sorry.
It's fine.
Again,
I only remember because I went back through my notes because I was like, wait a second.
Yeah, there's just so many names everywhere.
So fair. Okay. Yeah, cemetery sounds like a good idea. What were you saying?
I don't have anything to go off of other than instinct. Hunch. Because I cannot for the life of me ascertain why they would do such a thing, but I have suspicions that the Raven Queen's sister was actually a doppelganger. That in the finalizing these experimentations, they needed to determine the viability of their intelligence, of their ability to follow orders. There are accounts, if I recall correctly, from the archives in Eversun, from the Court of Origin, that the Raven Queen was seen at court a number of times with someone else, though she was never described as her sister from my memory.
Did she look like an owlin?
No, she was quite beautiful, like the Raven Queen herself.
Who said anything
Owlins
about
can
beautiful?
be beautiful. Owlins aren't ugly.
I'm not particularly fond of the feathers and the beak. It's a little scratchy, but you know, to each their own. You're quite right. Eye of the beholder and all.
Right,
You're quite right.
Yes.
Yuck, anyone's yum.
That's fair. I've actually drawn lots of hot owlin, so
It doesn't have to be a sexy owl.
that's it.
Owls can just be beautiful.
You're welcome. I'm gonna send you a picture of a sexy owl now.
It's just upper half owl and then gams for days.
An owl with huge tits.
No.
Huge tracts of land.
Huge tracts of land.
I can't. The number of times
She
I've
had
actually
big
described a
ears.
bird as beautiful. God, y'all are ridiculous.
Man.
Okay.
Men. It's always automatically got to be sex, huh? Okay, so she looked, I guess, not like an owlin, but more human-esque features.
Or Elvin.
Yes.
Yeah, the Raven Queen is often, she looks like sort of like a dark elf.
Fae.
She looks fey, yeah. She's kind of a cross
Yeah.
between a high elf and a dark elf.
Okay, so this doppelganger looked a lot like the Raven Queen.
Well, yeah, that would be their job, right?
Right.
Before we depart, Master Sylvanar, are there any of my people left?
Yes.
He said he's met several here.
I have met quite a few. Again, the bits about secrets, you know?
Yes.
There's a farmstead on the outskirts of the town that grows all sorts of delicious fruits and vegetables. Ask them how the shade pumpkins are blossoming.
I'm sorry, can you back up just for a moment about the doppelganger who you believe is actually the quote-unquote sister of the Raven Queen? I am confused. You said they needed to test them, so is she using it like a puppet to create a fake conflict, or do we think the doppelganger is taking over? What do you mean?
This was a very long time ago. You understand, the doppelganger have been well established as tools of the Shadowfell to invade and sow seeds of discontent, to put it mildly. I was referring to the early days of the experimentation to create the doppelganger.
Okay, I guess I'm just confused as to the connection to your theory that the Raven Queen does not have a sister.
And that she's a doppelganger.
Because there is no record of her having a sister.
Okay, so
So
why
you think this
There is no family. Like they have like a family. There's a name and she has a father. You know, there's no record of a sister.
So many do.
And we think this doppelganger then is still loyal to the Raven Queen?
That's what I'm saying. Why do we think she made up this story? Like, for what purpose?
I couldn't tell you. I even said that before I made that revelation, that I can't really ascertain as to why she would do such a thing.
The more answers we get, the more questions we have.
I was about to say the same thing. Well.
Okay, well.
No other answers to be derived here, I don't think.
Though we appreciate all of the answers you have given us. This has been a very illuminating visit. And also a very confusing visit. Can I have some more tea?
Have all you like. I pours you some more tea.
She's gonna put a little bit of that mead into the tea.
I trust that we will again manage to keep secrets secret.
Of course. So long as that trust is mutual.
What choice do I have?
Indeed.
I've already told you everything about me. No secrets left to hide.
Your secret is well guarded here, Vigo.
But maybe
put
your other face back on so he can open up the curtains and stuff.
Yes, I was going to do that before we left for sure. And boom, it reassumes Aladrin guise.
Okay. Well, thank you again. She's gonna throw back her tea. We'll get out of your hair. We got a lot to think about.
I'm sure you do. I have enjoyed this visit. I do not.
That's good, because I feel like I just need to take a nap.
Oh, it's about time for one of those, I think. You're welcome anytime, of course. If you decide to stay with us here in Northveil, I can promise that your secret will be well guarded.
Oh.
I understand from the conversations that I have had with others, like your friend, that the safety of home is something not to be taken for granted. And it seems to me like you have been without a veil for quite some time.
We cannot stay here. We have things to accomplish elsewhere.
We cannot, but he was not inviting us.
No. This is not my home. There are others of my ilk here, but this is not my home.
We're his veil.
Fair enough.
But your offer is generous.
Should you ever need anything, my door is always open. And then he very astutely shows you out.
Thank you.
I don't need any Carolina goodbyes in my D&D game.
I don't know how to
Okay.
leave anywhere. Why would I be any better at it in a game?
All right, so where to now?
Odessa,
Yes.
we're all on board with offing the crowned corvid, aren't we? Yes?
Are you trying to get Dimitra killed? Do you know what happened the
Thank
last
you.
time that she
thought
said
there
words?
was-
Do you not remember the game show?
How could I forget? I figured that, fun code words would be enough to... As long as she didn't say it, that it would be fine.
I'm honestly getting tired of this pussyfooting around. I'm about to do something reckless.
Oh boy.
Let's not do that.
So you guys make your way towards... Now, you didn't ask, but I will presume that you ask another guard or some other person about...
Where to go?
Yeah.
yeah,
Where's that cemetery?
they point you towards the outskirts of the town.
Hey, where are the
you-
dead people at?
You do pass this very tall tower with a big telescope hanging out of it. But you continue down the road towards the edge of a big, thick tree line. Think like a Fangorn forest. A lot of Lord of the Rings references tonight. Big, giant, fuck-all trees growing amid a variety of styles of headstones ranging in antiquity. And after a time, you follow a path and you come to a stone building that is...
Does it look like... Sorry.
It's
Does
on-
it look like
it's
the
on-
stone building that I saw the painting of at the museum?
Is not.
Okay.
There's at least one guy out there that's doing rubbings of the headstones.
Obviously.
Yeah, okay.
Funny. That's funny that you should say that, and I'll tell you why in a little bit. But yeah, so you make your way over there. Give me a perception check.
Everyone?
Yeah, why not?
Well,
Hey, natural one. Boom.
Vigo doesn't know shit.
Nope.
That's a 21.
Dimitra, we'll say you got big old goat ears, so you hear it first. There's voices coming from inside this building. Not necessarily shouting, but they don't sound happy. Which one?
There are people inside of that stone building, and they sound unhappy.
I got a
say we peek
23.
in.
Can I hear
Unhappy.
why they're unhappy?
Yeah. So you hear it, and I'm assuming we'll take like a cautious approach when we hear
So
that.
I'd like to peek in through a window.
Yeah, and move over. You can't when you peek in. You can't really see. You could see some candlelight inside, and you see one person, a wood elf, and they're talking to somebody else, and you hear them saying, "Well, you can't run around the town like that. I understand that. Look, I don't mean to upset you. I worry about you. That's all. Just please try to be more careful, right? Yes, I understand. There's some food for you on the stove." And then you hear the footsteps coming towards you.
Dimitri's gonna hide.
Yeah. How... You're the only one that went up to the building, I guess?
Odessa did.
Okay.
I actually didn't say that. I just said that
Oh.
I got a 23 on the perception check that you asked me for. And I
So that-
wanted to hear. And yeah, I just wanted to know if I heard anything additional.
That's what you
I got a dirty 20 to hide.
Okay, you're hidden.
Thank you.
What are the other two doing?
This feels like someone's house and very private conversation. I feel like I would just keep going.
Are there other
It's not a
headstones nearby?
house. It's in a cemetery, right?
Yes.
Yeah, but he's specifically said the word stove. So
I didn't hear any of this, but noticing.
No, you didn't. Yeah.
Noticing what the other two are doing, I'm just gonna pretend like I'm looking at headstones.
Okay. After a moment, a rather roguishly handsome wood elf steps out of the doorway.
Well, stop shoehorning in on my territory, roguishly handsome Will.
Good morning. Can I help you? You don't look bereaved or dead. What are you doing here?
We're admiring the beauty of these antiquated headstones.
Right. And you are?
We're visitors to town. We've just arrived yesterday.
I see. Not really a sightseeing sort of place. Peculiar, really.
I disagree. I was actually told that we would see some interesting architecture and could enjoy the pleasant weather. So.
It is a lovely day, yes. Did you enjoy the festival last night?
Very much.
Yeah. As he's talking, he kind of goes over to set to work. He's mending some tools. There's some like shovels and things that he's trying to like the head of has come loose. The spade has come loose that he's working on.
So he's outside of this structure.
Yes, he has come.
At this point, talking to him.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to try to go into the structure and see who he was talking to.
Give me another sneak check.
If only you were nearby and I could have cast invisibility on you earlier.
It's okay, I did pretty good. That is a 29.
I'm gonna do something I haven't done in a long time. I'm gonna need James and Meg to deafen themselves. Just take your headphones off.
We can't actually. I don't think we can do that, but we can take our headphones off.
You can. You're just on Discord. Just turn the volume down. But it's okay. Yeah, just take your headphones off.
Okay, but you have to be very clear signaling us back. Please.
I promise I will. So I'm not going to put the artwork up because they will see, but as you creep in, it's very dimly lit. Like there are a few small candles lit. And as you come around the store, you can smell food in the air. There is a changeling sitting on the floor eating soup out of a bowl.
Oh. Okay. Yeah, so she snuck in and she sees this changeling.
They do not notice you. Their back is to you, but you can tell that's what they are.
Yeah, so she like kind of jumps in shock, surprised. And she's just immediately going to she doesn't want to surprise this person. And
okay, so then,
yeah, she's gonna immediately back out.
Okay. I want another sneak check to see if you can sneak back past the other guy. All right, y'all can come back.
Probably not. Dirty. No, hold on. That is a 17.
I really want that to be too low. Hold on. Just because that's more interesting.
Well, this bodes ill.
Damn it. That's still pretty good though.
All right.
So he does not notice you as you come back out.
Okay. So he doesn't notice her. And so she's gonna try and like
Hold on.
Okay.
So here's the setup.
Okay.
You are in the doorway. He is in front of you with his back to you as he's working on these tools, and they're in front of him. So Vigo and Odessa can see you. If you want them to see you,
yes.
They can see you.
Perfect. That's exactly what I wanted.
And you get bonus points if you can pantomime all of this.
Dimitra's gonna like wave at you guys, and she's going to point over her shoulder in the door. You guys have James, you have to see this.
Okay, I'm looking. Sorry.
She's gonna put over her shoulder in the door, and she's gonna go. And she's gonna.
As she's doing that behind this what's his name again? I forget already. And I made
Traylon.
him. Traylon.
I assume.
Oh yeah, you didn't tell us.
Oh yeah, Traylon.
But way to confirm it's the person we were looking for, Katie. Good job.
Yeah, he's gonna reach his hand out. Traylon's the name, by the way. I do enjoy the Salura Festival. I didn't make it up this year myself, which is a right shame. But Thalion should have saved me some of those delicious tarts that they have every year.
Oh, you mean these? Odessa has one left in her pocket, because always.
Oh, bless my stars.
Seeing that they're not getting it, she's gonna cast Prestidigitation
Wait.
behind him. Okay.
I actually didn't get it.
Oh, okay.
I'm gonna cast Suggestion on him.
What does he roll?
Wisdom?
Yeah, I believe it's a wisdom. Yeah, wisdom save.
What's the DC?
17.
Not high enough.
It tie goes to the runner. So
God.
What are you suggesting? You can still make the suggestion. It's just not necessarily going to work.
It looks like you've had a long, hard day of work, and perhaps it's, I know it seems early, but on this, the day after a rousing festival, maybe you should, take off and go home?
Well, I am home. I live here.
Told you it's the house.
Then you should go get more tarts from Thalen, or whatever his name is, from the bar, the innkeeper.
That's the name. That is his name.
We are staying there, and he specifically told us that you need to go pick them up from him because he saved some just for you.
Well, doesn't sound like Thalen at all.
Well, you have to understand, I got him to uncork a bottle of rainberry liqueur, and so we had a very good rousing hitting of it off yesterday, and you came up in conversation, and he said how much you loved his tarts, and I said, you should save some for him. It sounds like he works very hard, and
although how either of them understood each other with all that slurring, I'll never know.
Rainberries, you say?
Yes. So I told him, why don't you save some for him, and I'll go out and tell him tomorrow to come pick them up.
Why wouldn't he just give them to you to bring here?
100% not buying what you're selling.
Well, can I at least make a roll?
Sure. Yeah. Give me a deception check. Give me a deception check.
All right. Thank you, sir. Let me play with my math rocks.
That's fine. Go ahead.
Oh my.
Womp
womp. I want to preface this by saying I have a plus 13 to deception.
Oh shit.
My roll is a 14.
So I feel like, is there an echo in here? He's not buying what you're selling.
Right.
But he's listening and nodding and kind of looking at Odessa like, right. Rainberries, you say?
As he's obsessed with
them.
them.
Like the ones that the Rayless grows.
Do they grow them up there?
Exactly like
we saw some rainberry trees on our way into town, but I didn't.
He takes a step back away from the two of you. You know what? I just thought of something. I'll be right back. I just need to. And he turns around and sees Dimitra, and in an instant, he has a crossbow pointed at Dimitra and a crossbow pointed back.
Where did that come from?
They pop out of his sleeves. Right.
That's a very cool trick.
So here's what we're going to do. You're going to step out of the threshold of my home and rejoin your companions, yes?
Yep, sure. That's
Thank
a
you.
very reasonable request.
Very kind. And they do the Mexican standoff kind of thing.
Uh-huh.
And, who are you and what do you want? And did you go in my house?
Well, you see, The answer to that is, you know what? Even if I did go in your house, it's okay. Because we can all be friends here. We came from
The Rainberry
Master
Orchard.
Sylvanar. We came from Master Sylvanar, and he actually sent us to talk to you. And I also
That's true.
heard your name from someone else. Another mutual friend that I think you will find interesting.
Sylvanar sent you.
Yes, Sylvanar sent you, and we also have another mutual friend.
And who is this other mutual friend?
Mayra?
From Titanfell?
His stance relaxes a little bit, although he does not completely drop his crossbows. Well, who are you? And no lies.
My name is Dimitra, and I've been learning a whole lot about the Raven Queen.
He glances over his shoulder. Did you go in my house?
I did. But your secret is safe with me.
Come inside. He lowers the crossbows and goes back inside. Are we following him inside?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And Dimitri's immediately going to fall back to her friends and tuck their sleeves and say, "There's a changeling inside of there."
Yes, I got that.
I'm so glad that you guys understood that.
Yeah.
Well, yes, definitely understood it, for sure.
And Mayra is the name that the sister of the Raven Queen gave to me.
Oh.
I see.
So you guys step inside. Again, the inside looks much like the outside. Greenish rock, very rough hewn. Again, minimal amounts of light, very small candles, modest furniture. And you come around the corner, and then sitting on the floor is a changeling. But this changeling looks a bit different than Vigo.
Oh my.
This changeling's body is covered in scars. They are eating with their hands out of a bowl. And as you guys come in, they turn very slowly and back away for just a second. And then Traylon goes down and kneels down and says, it's all right. It's fine. They're friends. Sylvanar sent them. And he, although very feminine, he nods and continues eating. Right. So, why did Sylvanar send you to me?
Here we go again.
That seems
Proud of you.
as a good a cliffhanger moment as any. All right, that's
At the
it.
end. Okay.
Yeah, that's it. We're done. I just wanted that little reveal. So yeah. Okay, that's it for Katie, James, and Meg. Never stop playing. All right, I'm done.
Good night,
I'm
y'all.
done. I'm done.
And for you, you're Michael.
Oh yeah.
That is me.